Good afternoon, everyone. It is Wednesday, July 27th. And as usual, I'm going to say, how is it the end of July already? And yes, I do understand how time works. We've had this conversation before, but seriously. And it's 3:00 p.m., which means it is time for Women and Business. And I'm so excited that you all are here with us today. It's going to be a great show because I am talking to Alexis Galloway of So Sweet Academy. And I'm going to pop her in. Hello, Alexis. Thank you for being with us today.
Hey.
Hey, and I want to ask you to just tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do, because I don't feel like reading a bio, so I'm going to have you do it.
Well, this should be fun because I never memorized my bio. So,
okay, well, give us the highlights.
So I'm Alexis of So Sweet Academy, founder, and I'm a mother, an entrepreneur, a daughter, a newly educator for brother. What else? I am just a lover of all things embroidery.
Which is a good thing to be. And congratulations on, I want to talk about brother first because this is relatively new. You are, what's the official, you're a brother ambassador now? Is that the title or?
Nope, educator.
Educator. Okay. Sorry, I get mixed up who's ambassadors. And so what does that entail? Do you do classes for them or?
So once everything is underway, and I say everything because there's so much to learn. That's the exciting part of it. I will be kind of like just an educator for different vendors, different dealers, and also our online world that really depends on Facebook and YouTube to learn new concepts and to find out what's going on with the machines and what's going on in the world of brother.
Wow, that's pretty exciting. So this is like a deal.
It is. It's a big deal.
Well, I mean, it's always interesting to me, and I want to ask because I don't really know this. Did they come to you, or did you go to them, or was there an audition process, or how does this come about?
So it's very random, interesting, and a blessing all in one. So the last time I was at Everything Embroidery Market in Chattanooga.
Right.
And I just happened to be, I'm always drawn to the brother machine. So anywhere, any event you see, you're always going to see me beside the brother machine, no matter what. So I went and I spoke to a lady. I was doing a live and I was just telling my audience about the booth and everything. And I turned to her after my live was over. I said, does brother have an event like this for brother, for the machines? Because I want to learn everything there is to know about the brother equipment, the different machines, because that's what I teach on in my academy. Well, I teach on all machines. Well, not all machines. I teach all embroidery, but not necessarily all machines. But I have all brother machines. So I wanted to know everything there was to know about it. And she said, well, we don't have one that is for a conference or anything that's for the general public, but we have one that's for the different dealers. And she just let me know that they would actually be looking for someone pretty soon. So she gave me the contact information, told me to forward my resume. And I was like, a resume? I mean, I have a resume for my job before when I was in regular corporate world and healthcare. I'm like, I never thought about a resume. You want me to just send a couple samples? How does that work? But I came home, got a couple things together, wrote up basically what I'd been doing and about my groups and my following, emailed it over, and they let me know that they were looking for someone and they wanted to kind of get it done fast. And it literally went really fast. I met a majority of the team and was able to interview, and here we are now.
I love it. Well, what I love about that the most, though, is something that I've talked a lot with a lot of different women about, which is seizing your opportunity and networking, which I think those are two things that you did really well here. You let this person know, this lady that you talked to, that, hey, I'm interested in doing this. And then when the opportunity came up, you jumped on it and you didn't have that kind of well, what if I don't know enough? Or what if, you know, at least I don't think you do. Maybe you did at 3 a.m. You were going, what if I don't know enough?
And the thing, I find that just doing what I do naturally, going live. Sometimes when I go live, I'm like, ooh, I need to go live. And sometimes I just go live because it just feels right. So the fact that she saw me in my environment, that was kind of an interview before the interview. Neither one of us knew it was, but she was able to watch me walk around the booth, talk about the different machines. You know, I wasn't doing it to put on a show, not for them, but I was just doing it because a lot of my followers don't get to attend the events in person. So I like to bring that experience to them.
I love that. So you actually did kind of do an audition. You just didn't know you were.
Right.
But that's huge. And I'm really happy for you, because that's a nice something to add to your resume. So the next time somebody asks you, you're like, look, I'm a brother educator.
Yeah.
But I want to also talk to you about something that we talked about a little bit before the show. And I want to put up where did it go? It's hiding. Okay. So your business is called So Sweet Academy. Mm-hmm. And what struck me when I went and looked at this website is, unlike a lot of people who are doing the sort of things that you do, you are like really right up front about, hey, we're learning how to build a business here. This isn't necessarily, I mean, it's about the craft and how much we love it and all that, but the goal is, let's make some money out of this stuff. And I want to ask you a couple of questions, but I want to start with this one, which is, did you have someone like you when you started that taught you how to make a business?
Not necessarily in embroidery. Now, I do follow a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners. But when I first started, I came from the world of healthcare. Mm-hmm. I was not familiar with a Google Drive, a Google Doc, and now a website, funnels, all that fun stuff that I use to build my business. I was lost. All I knew how to do was document a soap note when I first started. On the business aspect of it, I let my talent for the stitching carry me for as long as I could, until I learned everything there was to learn about websites and hyperlinks and all that. And I still screw it up on a regular, often.
Oh, it's a lot. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you. It's I'm revamping my in the process of working on revamping my website right now, and I'm just like, holy crap! There's so many parts of it. Mm-hmm. But is that why you decided that this is the subject area that you wanted to work in, is because you didn't have that when you were coming up, or is it just what interests you naturally?
I think it's what interests me. And then I realized that I like to travel. Mm-hmm. And I won't be able to do as much travel and goofing off if I have a ton of orders. So I knew that I wanted to do something that I could do from anywhere, and teaching would allow it. And the year before, probably 2 years before I went full time in my business, I ran into a man that was what is it called? Not a liaison, consultant. Mm-hmm. And he came in and he was turning the hospital around and telling us what to do. And when I realized he had no medical background, but they were paying this guy tons and tons and tons of money to just come and give his ideas, I was like, you know what? That's what I've wanted to do all my life. Just give my ideas to people. I remember thinking, what kind of job, what kind of college degree, or what should I have gone to school for, just to sit around the table and give people ideas for them to implement on. So I never really went down that rabbit hole. And then one day I looked up and I realized that I'm giving people ideas all the time. And I love it because I don't always have to implement on it. That would take way too much of my energy, way too much of the knowledge that I don't even have yet. But I can give people ideas that they can sprout, they can grow, they can use to then build their business.
Well, and I think there's so much in what you just said that first of all, I totally get your whole, because that's kind of what I do too. I just share my knowledge with people and hopefully they give me money for it. You know? And it's nice, because the other thing that you said that really makes sense is you're not tied down. your knowledge is portable. You can take it anywhere. You're not tied to a machine. You're not tied to a place. You're not tied to a deadline necessarily for anything. So that totally makes sense to me. But I want to ask, so you start So Sweet Academy, and did you have did people already know who you were, or did you have to start from the ground up and build?
So I don't want to say I got lucky, but I had a fortunate opportunity where I started going live on Sundays. It all started on So Sweet Sunday, which I still do to this day.
Mm-hmm.
I started going live and I just did a stitch out. And one of my friends, she shared it into a lot of people's groups. And I got in trouble for some of it. I couldn't share it in everyone's groups. And I
Mm-hmm.
learned to make the relationship from there, in which now I have the relationship with several people that I can share into their group every Sunday. But I just started being consistent. And it started off with just that free live every Sunday, 5 o'clock, hey everyone, it's 5 o'clock and it's Sunday, so it's time for a So Sweet Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it goes. And just that consistency turned into me having a following, having my own group, and then starting the academy. Then talking about that if you want to learn more, people were telling me you're giving away so much of this stuff on the live. I said, well, it's fun and all kind of stuff. So I figured I would start an academy that would pull in more people that exclusively want to learn the business of it.
Well, and it totally, what I love about what you just said, there are two things there. First is you were consistent, which I think is the mistake that a lot of people make. I've had people tell me, well, I tried going live and it didn't work. And I'm like, well, how many times? Well, I did 3. And I did one on a Tuesday and one on a Thursday and one on a Sunday, and it's like, you gotta, that's why I'm so like anal about this being, it's 3 p.m. we're going live, because that's when people expect to see it now.
Right.
Or Two Regular Guys is for me 11 a.m. on Fridays, or Eric's show is 4:30 p.m. on Fridays for me, or whatever. So you need consistency. So I love that. And the other thing is, people were telling you that you were giving a ton of stuff away, but I don't know if this was something that you knew or you just did it instinctively. So I'm going to ask, because that's kind of a tactic that you have to use to get started. So were you just doing it kind of like, this is fun and I like doing it? Or was there always in the back of your mind, I'm going to do this for now and build it to something else?
So I knew I wanted to build. I had no idea that it would build to this.
Okay.
So I just did that. Some of the stuff I just did because I had orders that I needed to do. I had questions. If you watch some of my first lives, I was like trembling and nervous, but if you watch some of the first ones, I did very detailed stitch outs, and I turned and I, just like I do now, I would ask the audience questions because I didn't, and I still don't know everything about embroidery. And there are a lot of other people that do things different ways. So I always welcome suggestions and everything from my audience. But yeah, I did not expect it to grow into this, and I have to be careful with where I take my advice from. Sometimes if I get advice from people that have no experience or no knowledge of the crafting world, we're just different. We're wired different. Our brains just see things in a different way. And they may look at it as, that's a waste of time. Why would you do that? And I'm like, no, this is how we connect. We're very much visual learners, hands-on. So to have something like this, people have said plenty of times, you need to stop doing that. You need to start charging for them. I'm like, why?
Well, I think you hit on something that a lot of people take longer to figure out, which is you've got to give value before you can start asking people for money. And you have to establish a reputation. You overall, those So Sweet Sundays, you built up with your audience the idea that you know what you're doing, that you're not going to take advantage of them, and that you're here to be part of the community, not just the only thing that you see when you look at the people in your community is, dollar signs kind of thing. And I think that's important. Building trust is important.
That know, like, and trust factor is a real thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I love this. We can't see who it is, but Alexis Galloway is amazing. And if you are getting the dreaded Facebook user, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, and hopefully StreamYard will allow
I can
us
see who
to
it is.
see your name.
The notification came up. It's my friend Dawn.
Oh, well, thank you for being here with us, Dawn. And Sheila says, hi, beautiful people.
Hey, Sheila.
And Lisa says, good afternoon. And then we have another Facebook user who says, hello, ladies. So thank you all for being here. And please share your comments and thoughts with us because we love that. But I want to ask, okay, so you start So Sweet Academy. You realize that what you want to do is help people build businesses. Now, here's the question that I have. You're building a business yourself. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how to phrase this so it doesn't sound like, who the heck did you think you were? But because that's not.
I think that sometimes.
Well, I guess that's the question I want to ask is how did you present that? Or had you by that time already had a successful embroidery business for long enough that you had that you could say, hey, I've done it, so I can teach you how to do it? That's a convoluted question, I know, but
I get it. I think it's subjective. Success is subjective.
Oh, totally.
Is it that is it this person made millions and then they're going to show you how to do the same thing? Because there may have been different contributing factors to those millions. Or is it that this person just has really good ideas that can help you build your business, and whatever your dedication level is, that's what will build it. So from my standpoint, I think it helps because I know I was in the space doing it myself, and all I did was just turn to other people and tell people what I do, what I've done. A lot of times I will post something online, turn around in the academy, screenshot what I've done, and I'll just show them the inside of my strategy. I'm very transparent with it. I will let them know, hey, this didn't work out. This did work out. Share with your viewers what you do, or with your audience what you do. Or I've seen somebody try this. It is very much hit or miss, and I'm very transparent on that side of it. There's no complete roadmap of do A, B, and C, because the way our economy is up, down, up, down.
Yeah.
You never know. One thing that works one year for one person, it may not work for another person.
Well, I love what you just said, and I feel like I keep repeating what you're saying, but you're making such good points. I don't want people to miss them. Transparency, I think, is so important, and that's one of the things that people will say to me sometimes is I'm very honest about the fact that I don't do what you guys do. I never have done. I don't want to do it, but I'm still here, and I'm still considered an expert in a lot of this stuff that I've never done.
Right.
But I think when you're transparent, you give people the kind of opportunity to trust you more because they know that you're telling them like it is. You're not sitting there going, I have an amazingly successful business and you should do it exactly like I do it. And if you do, you'll make $1 gazillion,
You might not.
You might not. And we have some more comments here that are fun. So I want to get these in. Jeff Fuller says, I enjoy the So Sweet Sundays. We actually scheduled dinner after them. I love that.
Very vocal in So Sweet Sundays.
And we have another Facebook user who says, proud Academy member. I love that. Tina James says, her passion and love of what she does shows all over what she touches. Love you.
Oh.
And another Facebook user says, wow, what an entrepreneur. Jumping in like that really shows this. So I want to ask you about something else, because you were recently at the Applique Getaway that happened a couple of weeks ago. And I'm not sure if I have this right, but I think that was your first time teaching live.
So I've done like private classes here.
Okay.
Or local, just a couple of people. But yes, that was my first time teaching at a trade show.
Okay. So I want to ask you this, because I have my opinions, but I'm curious what you think. What do you think is the biggest difference between teaching on camera and teaching in front of people, besides maybe the nerves level?
For me, the difference was them being there looking at me. You know, I can imagine whatever I want when I just have this camera in front of me. And some people, the funny thing is some people have that swap. They feel like they can't see the people that are looking at them, so that makes them nervous. Me, I think, to be honest, I've done so many So Sweet Sundays and so many lives that became my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And I just did not even think of having a live studio audience. So the difference there was a party of one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. Well, I think it's when I started the other way around, because I started teaching live first and then started doing this stuff. And this was harder for me because I couldn't gauge how people were reacting. The only way that I could do that is if I was doing something where they could leave comments, then I could get some sense. So I always kind of liked a little more being in front of people. So, but then of course, when you're in front of people, you always see the one person who's looking at their phone or yawning or fell asleep or whatever it is.
That is true. That is very true.
So, well, so I'm assuming that you want to do more in-person teaching as well now.
Yeah, I really did enjoy that. I enjoyed connecting with the crowd. My main things, I definitely wanted them to walk away with something. I never want someone to just sit through my class and feel like, oh, okay, well, I could have Googled that. I like hands-on. I mean, you could have Googled it, but you know, I like hands-on, and I like something just kind of tangible. I like to give something away. That's what I think of. You know, when I go places, I want to walk away with something, some kind of transformation, and that's what I really tried to bring to them.
I like that. And the other thing I want to ask you too, because this is something that I'm still managing a little bit. So I'd like to ask other people in the space how they're dealing with it. And I don't know how much of this you've gotten yet, but when you walk into a show or you walk into a room and people know who you are and they feel like they have a connection with you, and you have no clue who they are. You've never, because they've seen all the So Sweet Sundays, or they've seen, classes you've done or these kind of things or whatever it is. How do you handle that? Or what's your reaction to that? Because I'm still figuring it out.
So I found that it's just a very genuine response.
Oh yeah.
Literally with names, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm not good with names, because I need to be better with it, because you want to be addressed by names. But I don't feel bad if I don't know a name, because there are a ton of them and one of me.
Right.
I say things like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see you. Remind me, what's your name?
Mm-hmm.
And that gives them, the opportunity to introduce themselves, to talk to me. And then it just kind of cuts that awkward moment of, let's take a picture. Oh, hey, what's your name? No, I give them the excitement right back, and it's genuine. I'm super excited. I guess maybe it's still that I'm new in this space, and I'm just excited that they even recognize me. I'm like, oh yeah.
Well, I'm with you on the name thing. I'll just come right out and say, I'm sorry, there's a lot of people in the group, or there's a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people. Can you just remind me where we met, or who you are, or how you know me? And, they're always fine with that. But it's kind of I don't even know what I want to call it, a perception shift or something, when you go somewhere and people have a feeling about you or a connection about you, and you're like, I've never seen you. I don't know, I thank you for watching, and I'm really glad that you're excited that you're seeing me, but I don't know. It was just weird for me. And I just wondered if it was weird for you, or if you were just like, this is really awesome.
It's not weird yet. And yet.
Okay.
I don't want to say yet, but I said yet. But it's not really weird, because I do enjoy connecting with people. It's really odd. I am very much an extrovert, but I'm okay with being alone.
Mm-hmm.
I think I do well with on camera if people aren't here, because I don't mind talking to myself. Like, I have full-on conversations. And my dad always told me growing up, he said, you have such a wild imagination. And I do. I can think of a whole scenario, make it real, come up with it, whatever. So that helps me out. It's a blessing and a curse, but it actually helps me out in those situations where I do have an imagination. I can imagine what it could be like, what it should be like. And I mean, hopefully it goes the best of that way, but my imagination definitely helps me.
Well, I'm just laughing because my parents had a tape of me at like 3 or 4 singing and talking and just, going on about all the stuff. And I was doing a little show. And I'm like, yeah, okay, we predicted I was going to end up doing this stuff like years and years ago. I think there's a certain, and I don't know what it is, there's a certain character trait that some of us have that just suits us to this kind of stuff. So it's interesting.
I never thought public speaking would be one. Up until recently, I would say, oh, I have a fear of public speaking. And I don't think that's the case anymore. I think it's, if I'm familiar with the topic, I can ramble.
Right.
So I have to be careful on saying I have a fear of public speaking. That's not the case. As long as I'm somewhat prepared with my slides or something like that, I can go for it. But
well, and I think there's what they teach you as public speaking in school is really uncomfortable. So I think a lot of people think that's what like teaching in front of a class is, but it's a different vibe. I mean, I think anyway.
Right.
So, and I want to hit Jeff's question here, or Jeff's comment here. I really like the way Alexis teaches. She really goes through it step by step and speaks very clearly, so it's easy to understand her. And apparently that's an Adam comment.
Hey, Adam. So Adam actually taught one of my classes. He taught my ship and stitch, the bunny. It was the plush bunny. He did an awesome job.
Yeah, Adam is he's an extraordinary kid. I mean, there's a lot of kids that are amazing kids, but there's something about him. And I have my Nerdstrom back there that he made me. So he's on every show now. He lives back there. So. And I named him Nerdstrom because I figured, why not?
Nerdstrom.
Yeah, he's a cutie. But yes, Adam is I don't know. I was lucky enough to see the recording of his class because I wasn't able to be there. And not that I want to take this to, let's talk about how amazing Adam is, but he was more self-possessed at 11 than I was the first time I taught. And I was 26 years older than him the first time I got in front of a class.
I agree.
So I was like, geez, this kid's going to take over the world by the time he's 20.
I agree.
So
awesome.
Jeff, you have to work on him so that he does not become a, evil genius or something. He has to be a kind, benevolent dictator. There you go. So I want to talk about, while we're on the subject of young people, you have a daughter and she is, I'm sorry, I don't remember. She's 13?
14.
14. Okay. And she was at the show and I didn't get much of a chance to talk with her, which I'm sorry about, but she seems to be watching you and seeing what you do. Does she want to do something similar to what you do, or does she know yet?
So she loves doing nails, and we launched her nail business. We launched it and then we paused it. She still does her own and her grandmother's, and I think she did my mom's. So she'll do them. We hadn't done a big launch again. I really want to bring that back up, but she really enjoys it. One day my heart was so super full because I walked into our front room and she had the ring light set up and she had the camera set up and she was just sitting there in front of the TV, in front of the camera, just talking, and a lot of her mannerisms, I saw myself in them. So she's definitely watching. She's definitely taking it all in. She comes from, her dad is also an entrepreneur, so it's in her. I don't push her one way or the other. We were all raised to say, okay, go to high school, go to college, get a career. But I definitely want her to go her own way, be successful at it. But I want her to figure out what's best.
Now, how old was she when you started So Sweet Academy?
She was 10 or 11.
Okay. Yep. So she's had a couple of years to watch you and see how this works. And I think it's something that I really would like to see a study about, but I guess it's probably a few years out before that happens. But I'd be really interested to see how many children of entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs themselves, because I mean, she was with you at Applique Galloway and she was there watching you, she worked your table and she was there I'm assuming she was in your classes.
Mm-hmm.
She was there when we did the panel. And I gotta stop saying she. Her name is Kira, by the way.
Kira.
So Kira was there. And I just wonder, do you ever talk about it? I mean, have you ever talked to her about, the realities of it, I guess? Does she get the whole picture?
She does. I think she gets a lot of it just from watching other YouTube influencers. So she'll be sitting at her dad's house watching my replay. Imagine how interesting that probably is. But she'll be over there just watching the replays, and she gets it. She understands everything that has to do with being an entrepreneur. She was nervous in the beginning. I will admit that. Even at 10, when I told her, and the way I became a full-time entrepreneur, I was actually laid off in 2019. So she said, well, mommy, are you going back to your real job? And I had to explain to her, well, this is my real job now. This is paying the bills. This is what it is now. And then a couple years later, when something happened and I told her that I was thinking of working or just something else came up, and she said, no, you can't. No, this is what you do. So she has completely adopted this lifestyle. And initially I went back and forth with whether or not I was going to take her. And it wasn't until that Monday, literally I booked her flight on the Monday before we flew out on Tuesday or Wednesday. And I decided that she just needed to be there. There was going to be plenty of times that we were going to take pictures, and I didn't want her to hear about it or see about it. I wanted her to feel that moment with me, because she's my only child. She's going to be there for every moment that I want her to be there for every successful moment that I have. So the decision to take her was it was one of the best decisions that I made.
Well, I love that because I think she's getting a realistic view. So when the time comes for her to decide what path she wants to take, she's going to have all the information, as opposed to, I talked, and you've probably had this too. People will come up to you and they'll say, I want to start my own business because I want to run my own schedule and I want to be able to take a vacation when I want to, and I don't want to have a boss. And I'm like, yeah, and that all sounds great, but the reality is you're up at 2 a.m. because you have to get something done and you don't have a boss. So if you don't schedule yourself and make sure you're doing what you need to do, you could be in deep, deep trouble. And people who haven't done it, who've only seen it from the outside, because we don't talk about that stuff enough, I don't think. I mean, the people who are trying to sell entrepreneurship are trying to sell all I'm in Turks and Caicos and I'm working, Yeah,
I bet they don't want to be working.
Right.
And I mentioned something briefly at the panel that it was a realization to me, because one morning she woke up. There was a couple months that I felt like I was really working through the night a lot. And she woke up and she said, Mommy, did you even go to sleep? And I was like, no. So she kind of said, well, you never sleep. And it came to me, I don't want her to think that success and that any of that stuff means working all the time. I want her to understand that it's working smart, but not all the time. I don't want her to think that when she gets older, if I find something that's going to bring me success and it's not as hard as the world says it is, I don't want her to think that that's not a good path to take. She definitely should know that you have to build in breaks and rest.
Well, yeah, and I remember you saying that on the panel, and I thought that was so important because nobody wants that. I mean, we don't want to be working 24 hours a day. We don't want to be sacrificing our quality of life to build this, whatever it is that we're trying to build. But at the same time, there will be sacrifices required, and they might be different sacrifices than if you were going to an office.
Right.
But there's still, it's somebody said, and I don't remember who it was, and if I did, I would credit them, but it's really about the choices you make. And, if you choose to work in an office and work for someone else, you sacrifice some things. And if you choose to work for yourself, you sacrifice different things. But, it is what it is. But I just really loved the other thing that I think is interesting, and I wanted to talk about this a little bit too, is that when we did the live in your group, which I'm going to put the group up here because I just think, why not? Where did it go? There it is. Okay. So we did a group we did a live in your So Sweet Academy Facebook group and on your YouTube page. And I referred to you in that live as a single mother, and you just went, "Oh, I don't think of that sounds really weird." And I wanted to talk about that a little bit because I think this is something that we don't talk about enough either, which is we tend to kind of go, "Oh, she runs a business and she has a child and she's a single mother and she's just like a goddess and a saint and she can do everything all the time." And you were very honest about the fact that there's a village of people that are helping you raise Kira.
There definitely is. Her dad is very active in her life. Her stepmother, my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, like we can just keep trickling down. I have a very good and a very strong village. I've never, and some people may not have seen that live. So what she's referring to is I've never subscribed to the title of single mother. I'm a mother that is single, that is very much true. But I don't subscribe to that title of, oh, I'm a single mother. Oh, it's not becoming of me. And I'm not going to knock anybody that does. That's very much fine. It's very much true for them. But I'm not. I have people that from day one has been there, very much involved in helping me raise her to the young lady that she is now.
Right. That totally makes sense. Oh, what did I do here?
Oh, you put the business page. I added.
Oh, okay.
It's confusing. I know. See, that's what I'm saying.
Well, nope. Now I'll fix the banner and I'll put the other one up. It'll work. Don't worry. Just bear with me for a moment while I try to talk and do things at the same time. We'll see how this works. Hey, it worked. Okay. So this is the one I should have had. It's so sweet to learn. There we go. Got it. Yeah. And the private chat thing, I'm like, oh, hey, there's a private chat.
I put it in the private chat and then I realized there were comments and I wasn't seeing them at all. So now I see the comments.
It makes me laugh. I've been using StreamYard for a couple of years now. I still learn things about it, but it's fine. Okay. So it takes a village to raise a kid. Now I got myself completely off track, but I want to talk about that because I think that's something that we need to be more honest about. And I'm not saying that to take anything away from women who are raising their children on their own, or they're divorced or they're widowed or whatever it is, because I think that's something that should be celebrated, and same for single dads who are raising their kids without a partner. But I think we need to be more transparent about the fact that most people who are raising their children on their own are not necessarily on their own. They have a support system of friends or relatives, or hopefully, and I get not everybody does, but I don't think there's anything, I don't think it makes it any less important if you're working with a team as opposed to, being the heroic single mother.
Right. And I mean, that's true. You can't do it all by yourself. We were not.
Yeah. And I think that's the point that I was really trying to, so thank you. I was trying to get there and my brain wouldn't let me. But I think that's kind of damaging sometimes when we have this myth kind of going that, that you can run your own business and take care of your child and, hopefully have some kind of private life and social life and spiritual life and whatever. And you can do all this totally on your own. I don't think anybody can do that, honestly.
Not be sane at the same time.
No. And I think women sometimes carry a lot of guilt because they feel like they should be able to do it.
Mommy guilt is very real. I've experienced it on several occasions. It just does not go away. You have to silence it, but it's very much real. No matter married, single, whatever your status is, it's there. I'm pretty sure my mom experiences some, and you know, I'm an adult. You know, she succeeded. My sister and I, we're good people. Mm-hmm. So it never goes away.
Well, I think that's something that I want to talk about a little bit, not mommy guilt necessarily, but the whole expectation of women that we're supposed to be able to have relationships and take care of children and run a business and, you know, have a social life and have a life in our community and contribute to the, you know, and all this. There's like so many expectations that get put on women. Mm-hmm. So I want to ask you this: when you were, and I understand we're different generations, so I'm sure what I was taught was probably different than what you were taught. But when you were growing up, what were you told women can be?
The typical, you know, nurses, teachers, just the woman gender role that goes with it. I didn't necessarily think of a woman having the masculine job, you know, the police officers, mm-hmm. the even the entrepreneur. Even when I was younger, the entrepreneur, that wasn't necessarily a thing. I always thought that a business was this big corporation. I never imagined that
right.
One person could start a business. You just forget that sometimes a business does come from one person and it just grows. But yeah, I think that is still a myth that is floating around, that women sometimes have specific roles that they have to do, or gender roles, and mm-hmm. we just have to break out of that.
I think so, and I am hopeful, because I look at kids that are, you know, in their 20s now or in their teens now, and I think what girls are being taught is starting to change. Mm-hmm. I mean, I grew up, and yes, I fully realize this is going to tell you how old I am. I grew up in the 70s. And I'm 53 for those who are trying to do the math. And my mother worked, and she was a nurse. So she had a typical, you know, female job, but she worked from the time I was very, very small. Mm-hmm. And that was very, very not the norm. And people were like, oh, you poor neglected children. And I was like, we're good. We're fine. We don't, you know, this is all I knew.
Right.
And we had a village.
Right. My mom, I always remember her working, and the awesome thing about her, she went to college at the same time that I was in high school, and she graduated with her, I don't remember her master's or her bachelor's, I can't remember, but in 2002, and that was the same year that I graduated from high school. So to share that with her was something special. Mm-hmm. Especially, we share a birthday also. Both of our birthdays are November 26th. So to have yet another thing that we had in common, and then to see that, I can even remember sitting in on some of her college classes, memorizing some of the poems and homework that she had to do, and that just gave me my foundation of knowing what else was out there. So her including me and my sister in a lot of that part of her life, it was very important, whereas some people would keep it very separate, or I need to get a babysitter so I can go to school, right, leave my kids or whatever. No, I would sit in the back of the classroom while she was in class. I became a part of the class. I handed out papers. They put me to work and everything.
I love that. Well, and I love that for the example that you got too. I mean, your mom was like, I want to do this, and it's important, and it doesn't matter how old I am. I was another non-traditional. I finished my degrees later in life. I went to college originally at 18, and stuff happened that I'm not going to go into, but I ended up dropping out. And then I went back later and did it and worked full time. And that was hard being just me. I can imagine doing that, also having a husband and children and everything else. So
it's definitely what she did. She had a husband, a child, well, children, a household, all of that stuff. And she did it. She gave the very good framework of for me. And I joke with them, they have multiple degrees. I went to college also, I graduated, but of my family, I have I'm the least decorated, I guess you could say, with degrees and everything. And but yeah, nonetheless, like it's not a shaming moment. It's just we all chose our own path. They are my sister is a teacher. My mom was a teacher. My dad was in the military, and so we have a wide array. And I went into healthcare, so we have a wide array of things that we did. It wasn't just like, oh, my mom did this, so I have to do that.
So I'm just curious, what did your parents say when you said, "Hey, I'm going to go and do this"? Because I always wonder about that, because I know when I told my parents that this is what, and I always said I was going to be a writer from a very early age, and they were always like, "Writers don't make any money. You need to do some, you need to do something else." So I'm just curious, what did your parents say?
So it was a little different. Like I said, I got laid off. So
Right.
they're mine. I didn't make the decision, but I made the decision to not go back to work. I could have just, and I had a PRN job right after that, which is as needed if they kind of, on a sometimes basis or part-time. But my dad, he didn't give me as hard of a time as my mom did. Not saying that she gave me a hard time, but she was more nervous because you come from a time of you go to work, you have a job, that's how you get money, you go and you retire, that's how it works. But I can even remember, I think we were on our way to Atlanta one time, and one of my old managers called and offered me another position at another building, and she was in the background saying, take it, say it. And I was like, no. I don't think I want to do that. And sometimes it still does come up for me. Should I return back to work, even if for, tax paying purposes, because that's a whole nother bird out here. And I would be telling a story if I said I didn't think about it, or if I haven't explored that so much so to even fill out the application and see where that takes me. But they were supportive. They were nervous, not because they didn't trust me, but because that was all they knew. They just knew I was working, and I had gone to college and graduated, and I had a job that afforded my daughter and I a lifestyle that was comfortable.
And I get that. And I think that's where a lot of it comes from, because I think for my parents too, they did the same thing. My mom was a nurse. My dad was a civil engineer, and they worked for he worked for the state building roads, and she worked in a nursing home. And that was how you did it. You got a job, you went through the ranks, you retired, you got a nice pension, that was how you did it. And I was always like, I don't really want to do that.
I didn't know that this was going to be the path, but there were some days I would think, how long will my body be able to do this? Because I was a physical therapist assistant, so I had to do a lot of lifting and using my muscles to hold people. I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. Anytime I think of returning to the profession, it's more so because I just love it. I worked in long-term care for a majority of my career, and my favorite patients are dementia management patients or stroke patients. Though that's just my passion. I never thought it would be. When I was in school, I wanted to do pediatrics. So when I took a job at a nursing home, I thought it was absolutely crazy. But that's just where I found my love in my place, I guess.
I get it. Well, I think it's just, I don't know. I mean, I have to ask this because this is something that occurred to me. Now, I, again, totally realize I'm dating myself, but I grew up before there were computers. Computers started coming out about the time that I was graduating high school. So do you think that the internet and all this stuff has really kind of expanded people being entrepreneurs because you can reach more people now? Or do we just know about it more now because we see more people?
Absolutely. I think the timing was everything. I read a book. I wish I remembered the name of the book, and I'm probably going to butcher up the whole story. But it was talking about how maybe it's hockey players or something, whatever. When they look at the statistics, they know exactly how to pick the star players by what year they were born in. You look at the Steve Jobs, the Bill, is it Bill Gates? Bill Gates. All of them. You look at all of them, and they were born around the same year. So they had to be of a certain age at a certain time so that they could ride that wave. And I think it's the same thing with the internet in the entrepreneurial world. Sometimes I worry, like, oh, was I born on the right side of it? Like, is my daughter, my daughter doesn't mind hopping on, TikTok or wherever, and she can navigate all kinds of things. Whereas we are more private sometimes. I've run across so many people that's like, I don't want to tell all my business. And they just live out loud online, no matter what's going on. They grab their phone and they're recording. So sometimes I do wonder that. I do wonder if the internet plays a big role, because my mom would have done great with her own sewing studio, but the internet just wasn't there to give that extra boost as to, if you want to start a community, you just put this camera out in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in the 90s, my dad had the big one that sat on your shoulder.
Yep.
Imagine going live with that.
Oh, I can remember getting cable for the first time and that was like a revelation. I mean, I remember when HBO came out. That's how old I am. But I think there is something, and Jeff is making me laugh here, so I just got to put this up. Jeff says, here's your 7.5-inch floppy disk. Go practice typing. I remember those days. I am going to date myself yet further and tell you that my typing class in high school used electric typewriters.
Mine in middle school did.
Oh, boy. And let's see. And Letty Walker says, it's all us Gen Xers. And Jeff says 90% of my business is online. I wouldn't have a company without the internet. I think, yeah. I mean, a lot of what I do is internet related too. I wouldn't have this show because there wouldn't be any way to have it.
Yeah. And it's called the World Wide Web for a reason. Think about it. We're all connected that way. There's no way in the world that I would have met over half the people that I'm connected with now, and I haven't even met them. We only connect through typing on our keyboard and me going live. And then when we meet each other in person, it's like we know each other. The funny thing about that is the young lady that was there helping me, Amelia, that was our first time meeting in person. We've been on phone calls, and she's in my academy, and friends. We built a friendship through it, but actually meeting in person, that was the first time. So I think this is the first time in history that you can do that. You can foster a relationship via a screen. It's even different, phone. With the phone, you can't have as much of a relationship as you can with seeing somebody through video. So it's an awesome time to be alive, and it's also a scary time to be alive.
Well, and it's something that, and I just want to comment on this a little bit because it was brought home to me at Applique Galloway in a few instances that you think people when you talk to them in groups or you do chats like this or whatever. And then sometimes you have to be aware that not everything that people put out in their profiles is necessarily who they are in person. And it's a little bit of a, sometimes it's like, oh, they're even cooler than I thought they would be. And other times it's like, oh, that's maybe not somebody that I particularly want to be associated with. And so you have to be wary of that. But I've got more comments here and I'm trying to think. Let's see. I think I did Jeff's comment about 90% of his business is online. And then he says, well, that was a fun time. Adam asked me why I have a save icon in the box because he doesn't get it. Letty Walker says 10-inch floppies, and I remember those. And oh my God. Well, I remember the first computer we ever had, when my family ever had, I spent like the better part of several days trying to program it to do like the simplest thing. But it was new then. And the fact that I carry around something in my pocket now that is more powerful than what powered the capsule that went to the moon is just like this. And then we have more comments. Yeah, there you go. We are family for sure, says a Facebook user. Letty Walker says, I am much more interesting online than in person. A lot of us are, Letty. And yes, this is also true. I am much more reserved in person when you meet me. I tend to be that way too, I think. I don't know. I've never met me. So I don't know.
Well, I did also meet you in grind mode. Like you were there doing the event, you were, business, but you still were approachable. You still were very friendly. But I think everyone did respect that you had a job to do there, and you did it very well. So
well, thank you. But that's, I think that's something that we need to talk about a little more, is the idea that we think that we know who somebody is because we see them in a very carefully curated, there are things that I don't put on my social media profiles. I talk about, on this show, I've talked about pretty much, I don't think there's much I haven't talked about, honestly, but it's all in the service of helping people navigate things that I've already been through, I guess is what I want to say. But I don't know. It was kind of a little lesson that maybe I needed to learn, is that you can't always assume that what you're seeing is who the person actually is. So you need to be aware of that. I don't know.
I'm transparent, I guess, because I just tell a lot of things, but I make sure there are some things that I guard. Up until the water coaster ride that my daughter and I took the other day, I try not to cuss on my lives. Oh, but I said some good weekend words. Mm-hmm. but I try not to. But that's not to say that in my real life I don't have a colorful vocabulary. I always, my mom one time even warned me, you shouldn't put all your drinks online. They're going to think. I don't care what they think, because if I'm ever sitting at a restaurant at a bar and they walk up, I don't want them to be surprised that I'm having a glass of wine or two or three. So, so I just, because that's me, and I want people to be comfortable with me. And if I don't, then how is somebody going to feel that they can resonate with me? The person that does have a drink and they don't see me have a drink, they might think, oh, I can't do this. I have to not. Yeah. No, do what you need to do.
She's going to judge.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I always feel like I'm just going to be who I am, because it's way too exhausting to try to remember who I was trying to be. So I'm just going to be me, and you like me or you don't like me. And if you don't like me, I probably wouldn't like you either. And that's fine.
I agree. The only boundary I have is dating. I will laugh and joke and say, single, #single, whatever like that, and thirst trap, whatever. But I don't openly post anything about dating. That's right. My boundary.
Yeah, there are parts of my life that are private, and it's my private life, and they're private, and that's fine. But though, I don't know if you know anybody. I am single, so
me too. Hey. Send them out. Should we put a resume up here, since we talked about resumes earlier?
Oh, good Lord. You know what? My resume now would be, my resume is so out of date because I haven't, it feels weird now when people ask me, I'm like, you want my bio? What do you want?
I know. What do I say? A bio is very much, it gets out of hand sometimes with the list that people put. I keep it simple.
Oh, yeah. I've had people, guests on this show, who send me like a 3-paragraph bio. I'm like, I don't need to know everything that happened since you were born. I just want a little something so I can tell people who you are and why you're here. And that's all I need. But All right. And Letty said, you do not need to, whoops. Would you stop? Notifications keep popping up and they will not go away. And I'm trying to hit this comment and it won't go away. Okay. Are we done now? No, we are not. Anyway, I'm just going to skip it. But Letty said, you do not need to be an open book, which I think is totally true. And we are at the end of our hour. And I'm going to cut it off because we will go longer. And I don't want to take up any more of your time because you were so gracious to come and do this. But thank you so much. And I want to put up, if you want to go hang out with Alexis, you can hang out here in the It's So Sweet to Learn group. You can visit her website at So Sweet Academy, and you can go see her on TikTok. You have a lot of TikTok videos.
Oh, TikTok. I'm still learning TikTok. We should have done Instagram. Instagram, I'm a little more.
I tried Instagram and it was being annoying and it kept saying this page does not exist. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't put that one up.
Oh, here, let me help. It'll be really quickly because I rebranded from So Sweet Monogramming.
Is that why?
Yeah, so that's
and
why.
There's also a YouTube channel too, but if you go search So Sweet Academy, you can find that.
Here, just do this. Let's copy it and I will put it. Do you want me to put it in the private one or in the?
Yeah, go ahead and put it. Well, if you can put it in the public one.
Oh, okay, here.
I don't know. Here we go. I'll just pull it off of here.
Okay. Oh, it won't let me put it in the public.
There we go. Let's see if I can do this. I can do this.
Oh, wait.
Let's be positive. I can do this. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm fun. I'm creating banners on the fly. I feel like I know what I'm doing. This is awesome. Okay, there we go. Instagram.
Yeah.
So don't go to TikTok. Go to Instagram. Even though there's a lot of stuff on TikTok.
Go to TikTok. I have fun on there. I have some travel things and some. I have not found my true path on TikTok because it's.
Well, I mean, everything's a work in progress, but you're trying. I haven't even tried TikTok yet because I have no clue what I would do. So I don't know. That's maybe my next thing. We'll see. But anyway, thank you for being here. I enjoyed it so much. I think we talked about a lot of great stuff, and I just really thank you for being here.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
And Tina says, thank you, ladies. An amazing talk. I thought so too. And thank you for being here, Tina. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Next week, we don't know what's going to happen yet. I'm talking to some people. I may do a solo show. I may do an issue show. Tune in and find out. It's a mystery. All right. I'm going to hit end broadcast. Thank you, everybody.